Hey there storytellers, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, as you could tell from the title down below, is a little bit of a mashup. It's a wrap up, it's a TBR, it's a current reads, it's all the bookish things all in one. So I was getting ready to film this wrap up for you guys and I went, okay, Goodreads, what books did I finish in July? Goodreads went, girl, you read 2. That's it, you only read 2. So the wrap-up portion was going to be a little bit too short to do a full video on, especially because I already talked about the 2 books that I'm wrapping up for you. So that is why I figured I'd share my current reads and share some of the TBRs. The TBR portion is going to be that 4 books that I wrote about in my journaling video. So you can check that out if you are interested in bullet journaling, but otherwise I'm going to talk about the books here. So without any further ado, let's get into all this. So starting with the books that I've wrapped up, like I said, I've already talked about these before, so it's gonna be quick. The first one I read was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. It is the first book in the Grisha trilogy. It follows Alina Starkov as she finds out for the first time that she is not only a Grisha, she has latent magical abilities that no one really knew she had, and she's a very special Grisha. She is the Sun Summoner. Spoiler alert, but I feel like this book's been going around a while and Netflix made a whole show about it, so like I feel like it gets revealed pretty early on. Is it really a spoiler at this point? Alina gets whisked away by the Darkling and his Grisha, and she starts to get trained and she starts to feel strong and powerful for the first time in her life, but of course he's the Darkling, and a guy called the Darkling is really not good news, and she finds out there's this whole plot thing going on, so she tries to run and things get cray. It also follows her best friend Mal, who is a tracker. He plays a role in this story as well, very important one, and that's all I'm really gonna say, because if you haven't read it yet, I don't want to totally spoil it for you, but what did I give this? I want to say I gave it like a 4, maybe a 5. I remember being really surprised at how much I liked Alina by the end of this book. I liked it. I liked Alina. I liked where it was going. I intend to read them all so that I can watch the show on Netflix. I also have to read the Six of Crows duology. So that's what I'm doing. I'm reading the books before we get there. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on that book, on Shadow and Bone, I did a reading vlog that you can go check out where I talked about my thoughts more in depth as I was reading the book, and that segues me into the second book that I finished in July, which ended up smacking me down into a reading slump hardcore, even though I didn't think it would, and that is Anyway the Wind Blows by Rainbow Rowell. This is the last book in the Simon Snow trilogy. It is the chonky conclusion, and I had a lot of feelings about this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5. Now, do I think that it's totally perfect? Are there things I would not have changed? No, there are definitely things I would have changed about this book. If you want to know more in-depth thoughts, I did a whole 5 things I like about it, 5 things I don't like about it review. I talked about my thoughts pretty extensively, so go check that out. But just know that I do love this book, and I give it a 5 out of 5 because I love these 2 characters, Simon and Baz. I just love them, and they carry the story for me. I'm a very character-driven reader, right? I've stated this before. I love a lot of the characters in this book. Some of them got a little bit more screen time, shall we say, than they have in previous books, and that was fine. Some of them I care about less than others, so I didn't need some of the extra page time that they got. But Simon and Baz, I absolutely love. Penelope, I just adore that little unit of friends, and because I'm character driven, I loved it. I loved their thoughts and their journeys, and I'm gonna rave about it no matter what I try to say. So like I said, if you want to see me be a little bit more critical, go over to that review. But anyway, this is the second and only other book I finished in July because I got stuck afterwards. I felt like it was a decent conclusion to the story. I was not upset about it. I thought I was gonna be able to move on, but I wasn't. So, and even just holding it now, my brain wants to be like, do you want to read it again? Well, we're not going to read it again. We're going to keep making progress. Not that I won't ever reread it, because I definitely will. Probably several times. I have reread Carry On at least a dozen times since I heard about it a couple years ago. That's how much I like that book. So anyway, I digress. The books that I'm currently in the process of reading, I had hoped to finish in July, but alas, it's August and that's not going to happen. So the first I'm currently reading is Siege and Storm, also by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the Grisha trilogy, and this follows Alina and Mal as they try to tango with the Darkling again, and they are joined by another character, Stormhond, and he's a privateer. He's sort of a notorious privateer in their country of Ravka, and he's a little bit more than meets the eye. He's got some tricks up his sleeve, let me tell you. I actually am really enjoying Stormhond. He is a fun character. Do I trust him? Not entirely, but I like. The Darkling has kind of been lackluster for me, actually. The way he was presented in the first book, I was pretty intrigued by him, and he's kind of fallen flat for me at the moment. We'll see. We'll see what he's got up his sleeve. Alina has kind of plateaued for me, as has Mal. Right now, Stormhond is the most interesting character in this book for me. So he's kind of what's keeping me going, because I feel like he's egging some of the other characters on, and I want to see how that plays out. But everything is very clearly building to the conclusion of this series, where I am imagining there's going to be a big showdown with the Darkling. My next current read is With You All the Way by Cynthia Hand, and this is a YA contemporary. It follows a girl named Ada who is on a family trip to Hawaii when she discovers a secret about her mother, amongst other drama in her life. She's having drama with her sister and her mom and her ex-boyfriend, and she's just like, I'm done. I'm making a move. I'm living. I'm just gonna live. If everybody's gonna run around doing what they want, I'm gonna do what I want to. And I'm right at the point where she sort of made that decision to just do what she wants and just say, F it, I'm going for it. And I'm really interested to see how that's going to play out. Like I said, I've been in kind of a reading slump after Any Way the Wind Blows, so reading has been a struggle, but I have made progress in Siege and Storm, and I have made progress in this book, so sooner or later I will finish them both. Now on to the August TBR section. It's small, like I said. I'm just going to talk about those 4 that I wrote down in my journal as sort of ones that I'm hoping to get to soon. I have so many that I want to read, so if I really wrote it out, it would take forever. But the first one is the conclusion to the Grisha trilogy, Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, and I actually really don't know, other than it's definitely going to be building to a showdown with the Darkling. I otherwise have no idea, and I don't want to spoil it for myself by reading a synopsis or anything, so this is coming up. I will probably have a better idea of where we're gonna kick off with this one if I had finished Siege and Storm already, but I didn't, so I do not know. I'm over the halfway point, I think, in Siege and Storm, so I'm getting there. We're gonna get to this soon, for sure. And I've been doing the audiobook, so this one, I hope, is really, really engaging. I liked the first one. I was pretty good about listening to that one. Siege and Storm is actually kind of boring me, I'm not gonna lie. It seems a little bit fillery at the moment. I like it, but I'm actually surprised that I like Shadow and Bone a little bit better than Siege and Storm at the moment. Usually I don't like the first books in the series as much as the others, so it seems weird, but I'm hoping this one's my favorite. I'm hoping it blows my mind. The next book I'm hoping to read in August is one that I'm reading in a little bit book club that I do with my friends, and it is called Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron. So this is a retelling of Cinderella, of course, and it says it's been 200 years since Cinderella found her prince, but the fairy tale is over. And it says now teen girls are required to attend a ball where men from across the kingdom pick their wives based on a girl's fine dresses, and if a girl isn't picked, she's never heard from again. And enter our main character, Sophia, who would much rather marry her best friend Erin than be part of this archaic beauty pageant, it sounds like. And she's forced to go, and she flees and is hiding out in Cinderella's mausoleum, where she runs into a character named Constance, and her stepsisters, and Constance is the last descendant of Cinderella. They vow to take down the king. They find out that there's more to Cinderella's story than meets the eye. It sounds very edgy. My friend has already started it. She's promised that it is a very good book so far. I have another book by this author actually that I'm really excited for. So I'm hoping that bodes well, that this one sounds good and that one sounds good. I would appreciate if they were both fabulous, but I have always kind of not loved the Cinderella story. The sort of rags to riches thing is not the problem for me. It's kind of the fact that she sort of relies on finding a man to get herself out of a bad situation. It just sort of lacks a little bit of agency for me, and I don't love that. But this sounds like these girls, they're not going down without a fight, and I appreciate that. So this is next. Now for me, August is barely summer. I very much agree that it's the warmest it's gonna be, and it's great for swimming, and it's still lovely to drink lemonade and sit by the beach and all that stuff. But I will not lie, it is basically the bridge from summer into autumn for me. And that means, to me, it's half autumn. I'm halfway there. I can start being spooky now. So I do. And that kind of leads me into my next two. That one's a sort of an edgy fairy tale. The other one's sort of an edgy fantasy, but I'm getting a little bit dark. So my next TBR for August is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I believe I've talked about this one on my channel before too. It's obviously a mystery because, hello, Agatha Christie, what else would it be? This one follows 10 strangers who are lured to an island where they are forced to listen to a recorded message at dinner, I believe, accusing all of them of having a guilty secret, and by the end of the night, one of the guests is dead, and then they get stranded by a storm, so they're all stuck together with their secrets and the murderer on an island. It sounds great and spooky. And I'm actually a huge fan of mysteries where you remove one of the elements to make it a little bit more urgent feeling, if that makes sense. If the murderer is free to roam wherever, theoretically it should have more urgency because you'd be trying to find them before they wandered too far away. But in my mind, there's way more urgency, way more excitement when people are locked in with the killer and things go crazy. So that is why I want to pick up this one soon. A lot of hers are like that, where there's just that element of being locked in with the killer. I think that's wild. It's a wild signature to have for your writing, is that you just lock all your characters in with the killer. I'm hoping to read this one very, very soon. And last but not least, my little August TBR is wrapped up with Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Ayimide. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm very sorry. If you do know, could you spell it phonetically for me in the comments, please and thank you? I would appreciate that. This is a dark academia novel. It follows our two main characters, Devin and Shiamika, and they are selected to be part of the school's elite senior prefects. It looks good on their college applications. It gives them, I think, an automatic running to be school valedictorian. And after the announcement is made, someone who goes by the pseudonym Aces announces through anonymous text messages secrets about the two of them that turn their lives upside down and threaten every aspect of their carefully planned futures, as Aces shows no signs of stopping. What seemed like a sick prank quickly turns into a dangerous game with all the cards stacked against them. It sounds fantastic. It basically sounds like we have two sort of type A, top of their class, well-known, well-liked, popular kids who have this cultivated, perfect reputation going, and somebody is threatening to expose them. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this gives me very much Cruel Intentions vibes. I know Cruel Intentions is based on a French novel called Les Liaisons Dangereuses, I think, and that is one I do want to read, but I'm thinking of the movie Cruel Intentions, wherein there's Catherine and her stepbrother Sebastian, and they kind of have this popular, well-liked, good kid facade at school. Well, not so much Sebastian, but I digress. they have these facades that kind of get torn down by the end of the movie, and that it kind of sounds like this. No wonder I was so excited by this. It reminded me of one of my favorite movies, subconsciously. I am very excited for this. I have so many dark academia novels piling up. You have no idea. I am so in the mood for dark academia this year, and I'm kicking it off in August. I can't wait anymore. I've had them in my radar for months now, and I was like, you know what, it's summer, don't do it. You have fall, you're gonna want to have all these crazy wild stories to read in the fall. Just take it easy with the summer reads. And I'm glad I went that way, because my mind's been scrambled, so getting to the scrambly stories probably wouldn't have helped. Or maybe it would have, who knows? I don't. Hindsight, you know? At any rate, this dark academia novel is the conclusion to my mini TBR, and that is the conclusion to this video. So what did you think? Have you read any of these books that I'm talking about? Are you planning to read any of them? What do you have on the horizon? If you have read them, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what you have on the horizon for your TBRs. I'm just curious. What does, have you jumped into fall like I have, or are you still riding out the last waves of summer? Both are valid. No hate, no judgment, but I'm just curious. Where is everybody at with their reading? What are you thinking for the next month? What you gonna read? Who you gonna go? Ghostbusters. Sorry, but that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by leaving a like down below. And if you want to keep up with me and all of my bookish adventures, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button. And of course, I highly recommend that you ring the little bell so that you don't miss a beat. It will notify you when I post a new video, which right now is every Friday. Next Friday's video is going to be a Box in the Woods review. The novel that inspired my August bullet journal, I realized I never really talked about, even though I really enjoyed it, and I felt like I wanted to do a review on it for you guys, because it also kind of has some slight mystery. It's a mystery, so it has those vibes, but it's also kind of got the dark academia vibes, because Stevie is a student technically. She's not at the you'll hear more, but that's coming next week. For now, I'm going to get going. I will see you guys next Friday on the next video. Bye!